Hello, and welcome to another episode of Wednesday's Whiskey and Wisdom with myself, Joe Slee. This week I've organised another one of these double features for you. I've got two whiskies to review today. This is to make up for last week, which I just decided to have off. For some reason, I just couldn't be bothered drinking, you know. Sometimes it takes its toll drinking whiskey every Wednesday. You know, not everyone can drink every weekday or every weeknight that they want to, but anyway, I get the good fortune to have a couple this week. Tonight's my Friday, so it's even better. You know, the whiskey tastes better on a Friday, I always reckon. Yeah, let's get straight into it. This first whiskey, this is one of my all-time favourites. This is probably the first whiskey that I drank straight from the bottle. Like in my teenage year, I think I was about 18 at the time. I normally sort of drink things with Coke. You know, that still was my thing back then. I was with a group of friends and they offered me some of this and I was like, oh, do you mix it with Coke? And they're like, no, you don't mix this with Coke. What are you doing? Anyway, I had some of this and it was fantastic. And I've sort of somewhat come back to it a few years later and it is still really good. Now this is the Blantons, a single barrel bourbon whiskey. So bourbon is a lot sweeter to your normal single malt Scotch whiskies. Bourbon's sort of more like the American style, like they use sort of sour mash grains, and it just has different flavors to a typical whiskey. Now, what I like about the Blantons is it's got the cool horse cork. Look at that. It's a horse on it. Like that's pretty unique. It's a good size. It's a nice round sort of bottle. I like it. Just for the unique characteristics of that, it just makes it somewhat unique, I'd say. How the Blanton single reserve sort of gets its characteristics is it's brewed in a single barrel. Like most bourbons are sort of pulled from a few different barrels and mixed together. The Blanton's is a single barrel and it's determined by master distillers like when it's ready. Like, so it doesn't have any age like most single malts will say 12 or 10 years. This is specifically hand-picked, like it's matured to when it's ready, it doesn't go by any time frame. It's just ready when it's ready, in a sense. So it's a reserve for that purpose. So it's sort of hard to find sometimes, but it is generally widely available at most gift shops. I can't remember what I paid for this. It's a couple of years old now, this bottle, so prices would have fluctuated in that time. Anyway, I'll taste this one for you. It's yeah, one of my favourites. It's always really good. Yeah, that's nice. That's what you'd expect from most bourbons. It's just a nice, smooth, quite easy to drink. I save this one for special occasions. It's quite a good good whiskey for special occasions. It's just a good, nice, easy, smooth, very flavoursome, sweeter kind of tone. As I said, bourbons are a little bit sweeter than your average whiskies. So yeah, it's good. If you want to get into bourbons, try bourbon whiskey, try Blanton's Reserve. That's one I'd highly recommend. All right, moving on to the second one. I've shown you the Jameson before when I did the Jameson Caskmate. Now this is one I picked up recently. This is a recent addition to the Jameson family. This is the Jameson Black Label. And how they come about making this one is it's aged in charred barrels, essentially the charred bourbon barrels that they use for aging and taking on the flavors of the whiskey. So this one is, it's distilled or aged in double charred barrels, so it's black barrel, so obviously black barrel whiskey. And it's it adds just a few more dimensions to the flavors, I suppose. Like you get sort of more of that smoky or charcoaly sort of flavors coming through it, but it also takes on or highlights the flavors of the spiciness or the spices used to create Jameson whiskey, which is already quite a smooth, good whiskey. Anyway, we'll down this one. That's good. This one, it's not as good as the Jameson Caskmates, the stout edition. Like I said, that's probably one of my favourites. That's beer and whiskey together. That's great. But this one is smooth. Like the first time I drank it, I didn't actually quite enjoy it. And I thought, oh, geez, I just wasted me money on a bottle of whiskey. But you never really waste a whiskey. Like it just comes around you. Really, like I had good probably a third of that bottle a little while ago, and I was like, I actually enjoy it now. It's really good. So sometimes the more you drink a whiskey, the more you can enjoy it. It's just how whiskey goes sometimes. Yeah, well, that being the whiskey side of things done, we'll move on to the wisdom. This week I'm just winging the wisdom again. I didn't really find anything in my books. I have been finding a lot of quotes lately. I've sort of been on the trend of writing down like inspirational quotes and things like that. So I thought I might take a few of them and use them as my wisdom for tonight. But from my own experience, I think it's a good time now as things are starting to open up more. We have a lot more freedoms. Shops are open, cafes can have sit-down meals and things like that. It is a good time to just get out and enjoy some of life. You know, we have been sitting at home for too long. I've been sitting at home drinking on weeknights, drinking my whiskey on a Wednesday. It is good to get out and enjoy some of these freedoms. You know, you deserve it. You've put up with this time in lockdown for a while. You deserve some reward. And I certainly took advantage of that last weekend. I managed to have a night off and night out at the local whiskey bar, the Two Fingers Bar in Albury, which is a great place to go if you want to try some local whiskies or like different varieties. There's over like 100 different varieties of whiskey or drinks there to try. Like I'm unashamedly giving them some free self-promotion there for them. That's fine. I drank nearly probably $200 worth of whiskey there the other night. There are definitely some good whiskies to try, and I've got a few more to add to my list now from the other night. So look forward to them as I review them in the weeks to come. Anyway, that being said, I'll find these quotes for you here. They sort of relate to what I was just saying about enjoying the times we have, the hardships. Essentially, joy comes from going through the hardships, you know. And this quote here is from Theodore Roosevelt. So this is, "The joy of life is won in its deepest and truest sense only by those who have not shirked life's burdens." So in a sense, it's keeping on with the mundane, you know, our everyday life, you know, and through that, we do win our joy. It is good. And this other quote that I found was even more so. This sort of, this is one of my favorite writers, C.S. Lewis. This is the quote here: "Hardships often prepare ordinary people for an extraordinary destiny." Now that's quite good. I think we've all gone through some hard times, and if what's come out of it is my destiny is to drink more whiskey, well then that's good for everyone, isn't it? Especially for me, but we'll take that as it comes. I think everyone has their own different hardships they go through, so make sure you're persevering with those. Have patience that the hardships do come to an end and you do get the joy and time to enjoy it. So for this week, I hope you go out and try some new whiskies. Go and support your local bars, the local economy, get it going again, you know, get the drinks flowing, go to the whiskey bar, go try some new whiskies. Give me some more suggestions if you find something you like. Yeah, until then, until I see you next week, stay safe, have a good Wednesday, have a good whiskey.